Now that we have a good understanding of the architecture of a Rails engine, we're ready to start coding. But before we start coding TurboRails features, we are actually going to need a Ruby on Rails application to perform some manual tests against, and that will help us in development. And we are very lucky because we have exactly such a Rails application inside the test dummy folder. So as mentioned earlier, this is a real Rails application, and we're going to use it for two things in this tutorial. So the first thing will be to perform some manual tests, and it will help us understand what is happening when we will add some TurboRails features. And the second thing is that we're going to use this exact same application to perform some automated tests against. But we'll see this a bit later in this video. And so the application that we're going to build right now is actually a very simple Rails application. It's going to be a CRUD controller on an article model. And for now, there will be no TurboRails features, but we're going to add them step by step during this tutorial. So let's go ahead and we can go into the test dummy folder. And what we're going to do here is to use a command to generate a model that will be named article, and this article will only have some content as text. And as we can see inside the test dummy folder, we can use Rails commands just like we would in a normal Rails application. So let's go ahead and run Rails DB migrate, and let's have a look at the schema of the test dummy. And as we can see, we just created an articles table with some content as text. So we're going to add validations to our article model. So we're going to say validates content presents true, and that's it for the model layer. We're now going to add routes, and we are going to say resources articles. So that way we'll have the 7 actions of the CRUD for our articles model. And there is this routes by default here, and this means that if we were adding some routes to our engine, like in config routes, then we would be able to add those routes with a namespace here. But we're not going to do this in this tutorial because we are not going to have any routes for our TurboRails clone, so we can safely remove this line here. So that's it for the routes, and now we are going to add a controller. We're going to say articles controller, and this articles controller is going to inherit from application controller, just like in a real Rails application. And we're going to create the index method, the new method, the create method, the edit method, the update method, and the destroy method here. And we're going to go pretty fast here because this is actually a very standard Rails controller. There's nothing special about it. So let's go ahead and say that articles will be article.all here. For a new article, we will instantiate a new article. This new article will take the article params from the user, and we're going to say that if this article is saved, we are going to redirect to the articles path in that case, and otherwise we will render the new view. For the edit method, we're going to set the article in a callback, and we're going to say here if article update article params, then we will also redirect to the articles path in that case, articles path, and here it's articles path as well. And else we are going to render the edit view. And for the destroy method, we're going to say that we're going to destroy the article and redirect to the articles path once again. So I should now add some private methods here. So the first one is article params, and we're going to say that the user is able to interact with the content of the article, and then we're going to add a callback to set the article And this callback here will run for the as a before action callback. Before action, we're going to set the article, and this will be only for the edit, update, and destroy methods. So that's it for the controller. If I didn't make any typo, this should actually work. And we are now ready to start creating the views. So in views, we're going to create a new articles folder, and the first view that we're going to create is the index HTML ERB view. And for this view, we're going to be very simple. So we're going to say that there's a title with the name and the content of articles. There is a link to the new article path. And we are going to render the collection of articles. And to do this, we need an article HTML ERB partial. And we are going to represent a single article here. So we're going to say article, and we are going to add its ID. We're going to say something like this. We're going to add this little HTML component as a separator. Then we will display the content of the article. We'll use this separator once again. And then we're going to add a link to edit the article. Like this. And then we will add a button to remove or delete the article. So let's go ahead. Button 2, delete. We're going to say article path here. The method in that case is delete, and we're just going to style it a little bit. So we're going to say style display inline, and this is only to make it on the same line as the rest of the line. So we're now ready to at least test our index view to make sure that we didn't make any mistake. And let's have a look at what happens when we launch the Rails server here. The Rails command is actually going to complain that we could not find a server, and this is because we don't have any development dependencies on a web server yet. So we're going to go to the gem file and add the Puma web server. So that way, when we run bundle install, well, Puma should be installed as a development dependency, and we should be able to launch our Rails server. So let's do it, and then let's navigate to localhost 3000, and as we can see, there is a development Rails application running. And if we go to the articles path, we're able to see the articles index view that we just created. So now that this works, let's go ahead and open a Rails console to create an article and to see if it is properly displayed. So we're going to create a new article with the content of first article here. And let's refresh the page, and as we can see, the first article is properly displayed. So it's now time to create the new and edit views. So let's go in test dummy app views articles, and we're going to create our new HTML ERB view, our edit HTML ERB view, and the form HTML ERB that will be used to create the form for a new article. So let's go ahead and go inside our new view. We're going to add a title of new article. Then we're going to add a link to back, and this will be the articles path. And we are going to render the articles form, and we're going to pass a local variable here. So this article variable within the form partial will be equal to the article that we have here. And we're going to do exactly the same thing for the edit view, but we're going to only change the title of the page. And last but not least, we have to create the form. So we're going to say form with model article, do f, and we are going to first display the errors. So to do this, we're going to say article errors full messages to sentence, and then we are going to add a label. So we're going to say f.label content and f.text field content as well. And we are going to add a submit button, so f.submit, and we are going to say that the text of the submit button is going to be saved. So let's refresh our page and go to the new article page here. And well, I made a typo, so I'm just going to correct it. New article, and same for the edit page article. And we are going to create the second article here, and if I save, it works as expected. And we are going to actually try to create a third article here, but with an empty content to make sure that the errors are displayed properly, and so it works. And we're going to edit this article to add exclamation points at the end. It works as expected, and when we click on the delete button, the article is successfully deleted. So now we have a standard CRUD controller on an article model, and we will be able to use this real Rails application to perform manual tests. Once we will add features like turbo frames, turbo streams, all of that, and we will later also use this application to perform some automated tests against.